Well, I have to say, this market is really impressing me. I am currently sitting up over $40,000 on the day from about 2 hours of trading. And you know what? I didn't catch every single opportunity. I missed a bunch of them and I fumbled a couple as well. In fact, I just watched the stock squeeze up over 100% and I missed that one completely, even though I had it on watch earlier. So it goes to show you that when the market is hot, there are a lot of opportunities. Now, if you recall, it was about 3.5 weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago, when we had that spark that ignited this round of momentum. It was a stock that squeezed up over 2,000%. Now, that stock, and I'll pull it up on the chart here just so you could take a look at it, was Drug, D-U-R-G. So Drug is currently still holding its levels quite well. I mean, look at this chart. This thing went from about $2 a share all the way up to over $80 a share. It's still hanging out at 53. It has not faded. It has not given up all its gains. Now, I'm not trading it on a daily basis, but it just goes to show that some of these stocks are still hanging in there, which is great to see. So I'm going to go over my trades from today. The first stock that I traded, ALBT. This is a stock that was on the scanners. The move started about 4 a.m. So when I got up this morning, my old dog, June, wherever she is, she was whimpering. She had to go out. So got up with her 5 in the morning, went downstairs, let her out. And while she's running around outside, I'm checking my phone and I see ALBT. So I'm like, okay, we've already got a stock that right now meets the profile of the type of stocks that have given us big moves based on the float, the price, the rate of change, the daily chart. So let's jump into this chart and I'll start breaking it down. On ALBT, I'm up $22,492.42 just on that trade alone, or on that stock alone. When I sat down at my desk, it was about 6:45. So I came over here around 6:45 and I pull up the chart on ALBT and I'm thinking, all right, well, it is our leading percentage gainer in the market right now. And at that point, it was up like, I don't know, maybe 50, 60%. Not bad. Had about almost 4 million shares of volume. So it was pretty liquid. People were trading it. And I was just sort of thinking, this might work, but I did miss the beginning of the move. So maybe I'm better off just waiting for the next one. And then all of a sudden, look at this. Coming into 7 a.m., this thing starts popping up. We're going to zoom in here. So coming into 7 a.m., it goes from 305 to 315, 320, 325, 330, 345, 350, 370, and off it goes to 4. So here's what I did. Now, I share all of this in real time. By the way, for those of you that didn't know, Black Friday is right around the corner, and that's when we have our biggest sale of the year here at Warrior Trading. What I would encourage you to do is a 2-week trial. It's called our Warrior Pro Preview, where you can watch over my shoulder for the next 2 weeks. You can use my software. You can listen to the broadcast. You can be in the chat room. You can use the scanners, the news feed, the charts, everything else. And you get a sense of whether or not you like this community. That way, by the time the Black Friday sales begin, you already know what you're getting. So I really encourage you guys to check that out. There'll be a link pinned to the top of the comments and in the description for you to do that 2-week trial. It's $20 for 2 weeks, and that gives you access to this platform you see here, plus a selection of classes from my curriculum. So as this starts popping up, I'm on the broadcast, and I'm saying, all right, guys, you know what? These are the levels I'm watching. We've got this high right here, which is a pivot. It's at 368. And we have this high right here, which is also a pivot. That's at 396. So intraday, these are the levels I'm watching. On the daily chart, this has a bit of room to the 200 moving average. 200 is around 650. So we have a possible issue up there, but we still have room between, well, at that time, $368, $4 and 650. It is a somewhat recent reverse split. It's been trading on very light volume with the exception of this day back here where it likely had news, but then sold off. So yesterday had 360,000 shares of volume. Today, by the time I was looking at it, it was already at 4 million shares. So relative volume 10 times higher than the previous day. And now it's almost 100 times higher than the previous day. So I analyzed the chart, the daily chart, got back into the 1 minute, and I zoomed into the 10-second, and I said, now that it's pulling away, I need to watch this. So this is what I did. It was right in here. It starts popping up right here. It goes up to a high of 368, 370. It pulls back right there, and this was actually the candle where I bought, right there. As it broke over 370, I added on that candle, and I bought 10,000 shares. 10,000 shares is a little bit of a bigger position for a starter for me, but because I've been on a nice hot streak over these last 4 or 5 weeks, I've been taking bigger size pretty much out of the gates. Now, there was an exception to that yesterday. Yesterday was, Friday was a red day, and yesterday I wanted to make sure I didn't have a second red day for a 2 back-to-back red streak. So I said, I got to start a little bit more cautiously on my first trades, build my cushion, make sure I'm feeling really good before I size up. Now I did that, and I ended up finishing the day up nearly $15,000. So yesterday was a great day. So today I felt like, given we had some great momentum yesterday, and we had great momentum every day last week, Friday was just sort of a fluke. It was a bad day for me. It happens. I just, mismanaged a couple trades and was red. But things are back. I'm centered. I'm focused. So I'm going to start with a bigger size. So I started with bigger size pretty much right away. 10,000 shares in 370, getting in 370, and then I added 385, 395 for the breakthrough 4. It breaks 4 and it goes up to a high of 440. That is an incredible move. Now, that's not $20,000 of profit in one move. Realistically, from 70 up to 4 with 10,000 shares is $3,000. Up to there is about 6,000. But as it broke through those levels, I was taking profit off the table. Then I was adding back and then taking profit off. So I was able to get myself up about $5,000 on the day, which was pretty good. That helped me build my cushion. And then I said, all right, now I've got a cushion. I've got something I can work with. So it ends up pulling back a little bit. And I was a little bit concerned about this. I'll show you on the 1-minute chart. So it pulls back. Let's see, where was it? So this ended up pulling back here. We had high volume green candles, which was good, but we did dip down here a little bit more than I kind of thought, all the way back nearly to the volume weighted average price. We broke below our 9 moving average and we broke below our 20. But over on the 5-minute chart, I started to notice that we were forming an ABCD pattern. So the reason I didn't buy the first 5-minute candle to make a new high on this was because I felt like it pulled back too much. I was like, I just don't know. Now, this did end up working the first 5 minutes to make a new high, but then it pulls back again, and then I bought right here for the squeeze through 5. And that was another really solid trade, which I took with bigger size because I had a cushion on the day. So with that, we got that move up to 540. We pull back, and that was as high as we went. So we got closer to that daily 200 moving average, but we didn't get all the way up there. But nonetheless, I was able to lock up $22,000 of profit on ALBT. Now, that was all between 7 a.m. and about 7:50. So we still have a good amount of time in the day for me to keep trading. So the next stock that I traded and did quite well on was AGFY. AGFY, this is really interesting. This one hits my scanners, and the scanner that I saw it on, all of a sudden it's showing right here and it's up about 27%. But it didn't have any volume. Now, AGFY is currently up 46%. It's moving up to the scanner here. But I did see it had a red flame, which means it has news within the last 2 hours. Orange is within the last 12, yellow is in the last 24. So, and then this is if you don't have fresh news on it right now. So AGFY right here, I said, you know what? It's got news. It was fresh news. The float's less than 1 million shares. The price is between, 3 and 10. The relative volume is there. Like, everything about this looks good, but it didn't have very much total volume. So I didn't take a trade on it. I just saw it and I said, oh, it's interesting. We'll see if volume comes in. I switched back to ALBT, and then all of a sudden AGFY is squeezing up. And as it starts to pull away, I jumped in with my hotkey. I just started pressing, I think it was shift 1 or 2. I just started pressing the buy button. And I got some slippage on my entries, but was taking 1,000 share positions. Scaled up to a 5,000 share position. It squeezes from 450 up to 5, up to 550, up to 6, up to 650, and I'm taking profit on the way up. I locked up about $6,000 on the first trade. It dips down, got a couple dips on it. Ended up being up about 9,000 in total. But on this one, another red flag. Higher volume selling, MACD crossover, bounces for a second, and then more selling. So I thought, well, I don't know if we're going to get anything more out of this. But it curls back up to volume weighted average price right here. It pulls back, and as it broke through 5 right here, I bought 10,000 shares for the break of 5, added 10,000 as it squeezed up here, 20,000 shares, it rips all the way up to a high of 6. And boom, that right there was a really nice trade. On that trade, I actually went from up 28,000 on the day to about 45,000 on the day, 43,000 in one trade. That was right here. That was my best trade of the day. But in fact, this was at about 8:45. I had just taken my worst trade of the day a few minutes before that. Let's look at ISPC. So ISPC was my worst trade of the day. This one I'm down $5,541 on. You can see right here, 8:25 a.m. So what happened on this was the stock hits my scanner, it starts popping up, and I saw the float, and I saw the price, and they matched the profile of what's been working. But what I didn't see was breaking news. In spite of that, though, it went from 540 to 570, 580, and up to 6. So I took a starter at 6, and I added at 615 for the break of 620, and then all of a sudden, boom, it drops here to 520. I'm down $1 a share. Pops up for a second. I tried to average down, thinking maybe it would whip back up because these can, but I stopped out immediately when it didn't. So whenever I average down, I set my stop at where I added so I don't lose more, essentially. So look, if it does bounce back up, that brought down my cost basis, but if it drops further, I got to get out immediately. So average down, drops further, had to get out, and lost 5,500 bucks. So that was a disappointing trade. That was the worst trade I had of the day. But then I followed it up with the best trade of the day. So that was nice. An AGFY was a better stock. It had news, and it was safer. And so anyways, I took a little bit of risk on this one. I paid the price on that, had that loss. And anyways, it is what it is. The way I kind of figure is that each day I want to trade until I've given back a little off the top, because if I have like winner after winner after winner and I leave right here, I don't know how much I could have made. Like, why did I walk away when things were going so well? Shouldn't I have tried to, put in a little more time? So for me, I trade all the way up until I give back some off the top most days. And then once I give some back off the top, that's when I know that I hit my peak. Now, of course, it's possible I could give back some and then go higher up, but I set my hard stop. If I give back half my profit, that's a hard stop to walk away. But generally, if I give back 5% or 10% off the top, I could think, oh, that's not too bad. 15, 20%, I start to think, oh, okay, maybe that was my cue to walk away. And it's not an exact science. Some days I stay a little longer than I should, and others I might walk away a little too soon. But it's something that I definitely am thinking about when I'm trading. Now, Zcar, this is another one that was on the scans earlier this morning. It's got a lower float. It does have breaking news. And this thing halted up 3 times in a row. It goes once, twice, 3 times, and then it halts twice down. Now it's bouncing back up. The problem with a trade like this is that the news came out at 4 a.m., but the market didn't react. So that's kind of odd. Finally, it gets this squeeze, but then you have back-to-back halts. And when you have those halts, especially when they're on light volume, it's hard to manage risk, because next thing you know, you're caught in a halt. And, when it halts on light volume, it can resume higher, but it can also resume lower, and there's nothing you can do. You're just sort of stuck. So, I used to trade halts a lot more, and I don't trade them as much as I used to, in part because a lot of the strongest stocks have their moves that begin pre-market. Now, if we have a really strong move pre-market and it continues into regular trading hours, then I often will keep trading the first, 30, 40 minutes of the day, first hour, couple hours of the day maybe. But a stock like this that pretty much gave us nothing pre-market, that then squeezes, the halts are just too tight and it's hard to manage risk. We had something similar on MNPR I think it was last week. So look at MNPR. This one, sort of similarly halts up several times in a row. And it's like, next thing you know, you're just massively chasing it. And so you see here, it halts up several times in a row. So you finally get a pullback in the form of a halt down, and then it halts back up, halts 2, 3 times, halts down again, then halts up. It's just, you're trading in and out of halts the whole time. You're spending more time halted than you're spending actually, during regular trading. So anyways, I find that to be a little bit difficult. And so I will trade them, but it's not my absolute favorite. So yeah. So anyway, so that, and then that's basically kind of how my day ended up. So overall, really strong day, and I can't wait to get back at it bright and early tomorrow morning, because we're in a market right now where we're seeing some really nice action. So this feels like the time to dig deep and, to show up every day and really try to participate as much as I can and try to squeeze as much profit as I can out of this window, because these are windows of time. If we look at my metrics from the last, just last week, not including the max loss Friday, because that is a November trade, but finishing October, $100,000 basically on that last week, 75,000 the week before, 203,000 the week before that. So, these 3 weeks here contributed a really substantial amount of profit for the year in total. I mean, I'm sitting on the year of, let's see, 2024 at 1.2 million right now. So, 30%, 20% of that profit basically came from 1 month. That was, if I had missed that whole month, I'd be at 800,000 instead of 1.2 million. That's the reality. So, showing up every single day as best as you can is important. I don't like missing out on opportunities. And, this momentum right now, we've got a window that's open. We had a window that opened in 2020 and 2021, and then it closed, and we've got a window that's opening right here, and it'll be open for as long as it is. And I think it's a good idea to try to capitalize as best as you can on this opportunity, because when the window closes, you'll have to be able to be content with smaller gains for a period of time. So that's kind of the ebb and the flow of trading. All right, so I hope you found this recap helpful. I do hope you check out our 2-week trial. That link is pinned to the top of the comments and posted in the description. And I'll remind you, as always, that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee that you'll find the same success as me, whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So please manage your risk, take it slow, and always practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. I'll see you guys back here. I'll be streaming for Warrior members bright and early tomorrow morning. So I'll see you guys in the morning.